Since Indiana Jones first hit theaters in 1981, a complex and detailed timeline has evolved throughout all the movies, books, comics, and more. Now that Indiana Jones has embarked on his final adventure, though, let's walk through the key moments in the timeline of the Indiana Jones saga with our complete Indiana Jones timeline. As a note, this timeline will only include things we've seen on the big screen. There will not be any mention of the books or comics here, which we're going to cover in another video, so look for that. Before we get started, remember to like the video if you enjoy it. And if you want more content about Indiana Jones, Star Wars, entertainment, or video games, subscribe to our channel. Let's start with the ancient history to set everything up. So way back a long time ago, we don't know the exact year, but aliens arrive in the Akator region in the Amazon, giving the tribesmen their unbelievable amounts of knowledge. The city of Akator is built by the tribes as a monument to the aliens. In 1400 BC, the Ark of the Covenant is created. It was originally handed down by God and contained the physical tablets holding the Ten Commandments, then carried by Moses and Hebrews through the desert. In 1095, Sir Richard of the First Crusade finds the Holy Grail in the Canyon of the Crescent Moon. One knight was chosen to remain with the Grail and protect it, and remained with it until 1938. In 1546, Francisco de Orellana, a Spanish explorer, disappears looking for the ancient city of Akator. Fast forward to 1872, Henry Jones Sr., Indiana Jones' father, is born. In 1899, Henry Jones Jr. is born on July 1st. He chooses the name Indiana for himself later in his childhood to honor his beloved dog. In 1912, Indy races against the man in a Panama hat and his henchmen for the Cross of Coronado, which Indy steals from them in a cave in Utah. While trying to evade them, Indy develops his fear of snakes and uses a whip for the first time, giving himself the famous scar on his chin. Though he loses the battle, he's given what would become his trademark fedora. In 1926, Indiana Jones, while studying under Abner Ravenwood, becomes romantically involved with Marion, Abner's daughter. This led to a falling out between Indy and his mentor. In 1935, Shanghai crime boss Lao She hires Indiana Jones to recover the remains of Nurhaci, the late 16th century emperor of the Manchu dynasty in northeast China. When receiving a diamond as payment for his services, Lao She betrays Indy and poisons him. Indy barely escapes Club Obi-Wan alive with the help of his sidekick Short Round and singer Willie Scott. Indy and his party then board a plane, which they don't realize is owned by Lao She and operated by his henchmen. The pilots abandon the plane and take all the parachutes over Mayapur, India. Jones, Short Round, and Willie Scott use a life raft to jump out of the plane and are discovered by villagers while traveling down the river. The villagers inform Indy that all of their children and a sacred stone have been stolen by evil forces from Pankot Palace. After the stone was taken, the village experienced extreme drought and famine. An escapee from Pankot gives Indy evidence that the missing stone is one of the Shankara stones, and Jones decides to head to Pankot to investigate. Inside Pankot Palace, Indy discovers a hidden tunnel that is completely wholesome and not creepy at all, that leads straight to an underground tunnel and cavern where a Thuggee cult is still operating. There's other wholesome activities like a heart being ripped out and a human being being lowered into lava as a sacrifice to the goddess Kali. Establishing Temple of the Doom is the most light-hearted Indiana Jones adventure. After being forced to drink the blood of the Kali, Indy is awakened from a trance by Short Round with using fire to awaken him. They save Willie Scott, fight off the Thuggee guards together, and free all of the children. After a pretty awesome mine ride, Indy faces off with the Thuggee leader Mola Ram on a totally safe and not scary bridge. Indy defeats Mola Ram after cutting the bridge in half, managing to save one of the Shankara stones in the process. He returns it to the village in Mayapur and all's right with the world until next year. In 1936, a year after the events of Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones travels to Peru to retrieve a prized golden idol from a temple filled with booby traps. After barely escaping the temple alive, we meet Renee Belloc, a rival archaeologist and Indy's nemesis for the very first time. Belloc takes the idol from Indy, and Jones is barely able to escape the Jovitos. American intelligence officials approach Jones and his boss, Marcus Brody, at Marshall College, where Indy is a professor of archaeology. They've learned of the Nazis' interest in the headpiece of the Staff of Ra and the Ark of the Covenant. as well as the Nazis' pursuit of Abner Ravenwood, Indiana Jones' former mentor. Before pursuing the Nazis, Jones stops in Nepal to talk to Abner Ravenwood. He finds Abner's daughter Marion, with whom he once had a, let's say, age-inappropriate relationship when Indy was in his mid-20s and Marion was not. It was the reason Indy and Abner had a falling out in 1926. Indy saves Marion from some Nazi stooges and learns that she still has the headpiece to the Staff of Ra. Together, they head to Cairo. Indy and Marion meet up with Indy's old friend Sallah in Cairo. Sallah informs him that the Nazis are getting close to finding the Well of Souls and that Belloc is helping them. Indy and Marion are being ambushed in the streets of Cairo, leading to a chase, and Marion being feared dead. With Sallah's help, Jones discovers the location of the Well of Souls using the Staff of Ra. After a night of digging, they find the entrance and discover the Ark, only to have it stolen by Belloc and the Nazis. Marion, who's still alive, is trapped inside the Well of Souls with Indy after the Nazis seal them in. After escaping and pursuing the Nazis, Indy briefly reclaims the Ark. The Nazis don't give up, though, and they take the Ark again while capturing Marion one more time. Jones stores aboard their ship, which travels to an island in the Aegean Sea to open and test the Ark. Indy and Marion are the only survivors when the power of the Ark melts the faces of Nazis, killing them all, and Belloc in the process. The U.S. government says that top men are working on the Ark, but it's stored away in a giant warehouse never to be seen again, right? In 1938, after finally recovering the Cross of Coronado 26 years after first holding it, Indy learns that his father, Dr. Henry Jones, has gone missing while searching for the Holy Grail. Walter Donovan informs Indy that he can begin his search for his father in Venice, Italy, with the help of Dr. Elsa Schneider. Marcus Brody joins Indiana Jones and they meet Dr. Schneider in Venice. Schneider and Jones investigate a library where they discover an entrance to catacombs that contain the tomb of a knight of the First Crusade. The knight has an inscription on his shield that will complete the tablet rubbing Indy got from Donovan. Indy and Elsa barely escape the tomb when the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword attack them. Indy reveals to Elsa that he has his father's Grail diary, which Henry Sr. sent to him at the beginning of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. When Indy and Elsa rescue Henry in a castle in Austria, Elsa is revealed as a Nazi spy, and Indy and his father narrowly escape a burning death trap inside the castle. Donovan, also a Nazi, and Elsa now have the Grail diary, but Indy entrusted Marcus with pivotal pages from the book. Indy and his father traveled to Berlin to get the diary back, as it contains crucial information about 3 tests anyone must pass if they want to obtain the Holy Grail. The Nazis capture Marcus Brody and now have the map to the Canyon of the Crescent Moon where the Grail is located. Indy, Sallah, and Henry pursue them into the desert and battle their way to the canyon where the temple holding the Grail is located. In order to get Indy to agree to retrieve the Grail for him, Donovan shoots Henry, seriously wounding him. The only thing that will save Indy's father is the power of the Grail, so Jones braves the 3 tests and meets a knight of the First Crusade, where he faces one final test. Donovan and Elsa follow him, where Elsa intentionally chooses the wrong Grail to give Donovan in order to kill him. Indy chooses wisely and is able to save his father. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade ends with Indy and his friends and family riding off into the sunset in what we thought would be the very last time we'd see Indy on the big screen. Also in 1938, Marion Ravenwood gives birth to Mutt Williams, Indy's son. Jones doesn't know about his son until 1957, when Mutt is 19. In 1945, Indiana Jones has his first encounter with Nazi scientist Jürgen Voller and the Antikythera, which will be a central theme in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. In 1957, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull begins in Nevada, where Indy and George Mac McHale have been captured by Soviet forces that have infiltrated Area 51, which in Indiana Jones' world isn't really Area 51, it's Hangar 51. But anyway, Dr. Irina Spalko, leader of the Soviet forces that infiltrated Nevada, directs Indy to find the mummified remains of an alien Indy helped discover at Roswell. After some fighting and a glimpse of the lost Ark of the Covenant, told you we'd see it again, Indy arrives in a nuclear test site town. Think Nuketown from Call of Duty, but with super powerful refrigerators. Jones survives a nuclear blast by hiding inside of one of said fridges and experiences no blunt force trauma at all from being thrown hundreds of yards through the air. There's an actual theory about how this is possible, tying back to Jones' experience with the Holy Grail, but that's for another video. The FBI suspects Jones of working with the Soviets. This is the time of the Red Scare, and Indy's fired from his job at Marshall College. While leaving town, he's approached by Mutt Williams, who asks Indy for help finding Harold Oxley, an old friend of Indiana Jones. Williams has a letter written in an ancient language that Indy's able to decipher, and they learn that they must head to Peru to find him. After investigating the psychiatric hospital where Oxley was staying, Indy and Mutt discover strange writing all over the walls of Oxley's room. They decode the writing and find that Oxley was trying to find the ancient city of Akator, originally sought by Spanish explorer Francisco de Orellana in the 16th century. Mutt joins Indy to find Orellana's grave, where they discover a crystal skull hidden in Francisco de Orellana's tomb. As often happens in Indiana Jones stories, the bad guys then show up, and the Soviets take Mutt and Indy to their camp. Indy learns that Mutt's mother, Mary Williams, is actually Marion Ravenwood from Raiders of the Lost Ark. They also learn that Harold Oxley's gone mad from getting too close to this crystal skull, and Indy learns that Mutt Williams is actually Henry Jones III, Indy's son. Indy begins a fight to break free from the Soviets, and a race begins to Akator. When Indy and his group successfully make it inside Akator's central building, they discover alien skeletons and a lot of treasure. When the crystal skull is placed atop the headless alien skeleton, it transforms into an alien being, and the area begins to crumble. Jones and his party barely escape the temple, while Spalko and Mac are both killed inside Akator. From a distance, Jones watches an alien spaceship rise from the destroyed ruins of Akator and fly away. Marion and Indiana Jones are married back in Connecticut, and Jones is reinstated at Marshall College, where he is made associate dean because we like happy endings. All ends happily for our heroes, but Indiana Jones has one more adventure in him. In 1969, Indiana Jones is now separated from Marion and is about to retire as a professor. After the death of Mutt Williams in the Vietnam War, Indy's lost and unsure of his place in the world. His goddaughter, Helena Shaw, appears and gives Indy a chance at one final adventure. Indy joins Helena and her sidekick Teddy on an adventure that will pit them against Nazi scientist Jürgen Voller in a race to acquire the Antikythera, which Voller would use to turn back time and help the Nazis win World War II. Indy battles Voller and his goons and even travels back in time to 212 BC during the Battle of Syracuse, where he meets Archimedes, inventor of the Antikythera. Jones and Helena defeat Voller and return to 1969, where Jones finds new purpose in life and begins to repair his life with Marion. So what do you think? What are your favorite Indiana Jones moments? Let us know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. And check out StrangeAwesomeGames.com for all the latest on Indiana Jones, Star Wars, entertainment, and video games. Hope you enjoyed the video. Look for more Indiana Jones content here soon. Have a great day, everybody.